resources, to get something done. So we got that done. At the same time, we're trying to design the segment 3 piece with the bridge. We're going through that. At the same time, we had to go through the industrial track agreement with UP, and we had to meet all those parameters, and they had to align with the grant to allow the bridge to be designed to the UP standard. So all of those things, they're not free. As a developer, we picked all that up. That again removes, the viability of the grant. By executing the grant, you add another $2 million in oversight to it. So at this point, now you're down to 18 million left of a possible government piece. This is a $115 million road. It doesn't make sense to try to go after a grant when we can pay for it through a special assessment district, not affect the city of Fernley, and provide you a road that takes you and gives everything the city wants, which is a full parkway that's dedicatable to NDOT a year and a half faster. I hear what you're saying, but I think we've made a very good business decision to save money and provide what the city wanted. The city wanted a full road from 80 to 50. They wanted it to be the full width. They wanted it dedicatable, it has to be NDOT standards. And they want, of course, we wanted to get it as soon as possible. So to do all of those things, it takes a different funding mechanism. And so we're making this as streamlined as we can. And again, the city gets to decide because you get to see everything in the 100% plans. I think the benefit though is that we've set up a process where we can build the road upon approval from the city in a very quick way. And when I say quick, construction quick, 2 years, right? But it's still pretty quick. So by first quarter of 28, maybe the second quarter, depending on weather, you're out there cutting the ribbon and driving across the bridge. And you can go from 50 to 80 or the traffic circle requirement goes down. And you have this really great road that bisects the two roads. So I think we've done a lot of work to lay that out. And I would say, come out and look at it and I'll show you the detail that we have. All right. So I would caution everybody that a grant, while it looks and acts like it's free money from the government, it has a cost to it in both time, money, and bureaucracy and oversight. And so what I've talked to the mayor about and the previous city managers, how do I get there? How do I meet the city's requirement to go faster? The constraints are out there. The best way to do this is to drop the grant and move forward with a different funding mechanism. So I think we've offered that to the city. I think we've got a good plan. And we also don't want to affect the city, right? And so this bonding or this public financing does not affect the city bonding. This bonding, once it's put out there, does not affect the citizens of Fernley. This bonding, when it's laid out there, can be broken up in its payback mechanisms via the Victory Districts and the companies that are in there. And not all the companies have to opt into it, right? If you're already there, you're grandfathered out of it. So it'll be paid back by the district. The city will get a road. It'll get a relief on its traffic issue, and they'll have something by 2028. I think it's a very well thought through plan.
I think the biggest concerns and the worries, not only for myself, but in talking for the majority of the city residents, not council or staff, is we're still waiting for the buildings to be occupied. We're still waiting for jobs to come. And those haven't come to fruition yet. And people are very concerned. So we have some huge buildings. They're not occupied. We're worried about that. There's no jobs. And we're 6 years into this project, which is a wrinkle in time with a project this big. I totally understand that. So, but you have to understand, and you're not building this out of the kindness of your heart. I mean, you guys are here to make money. So, and I'm all for that, all for the entrepreneurship, but, saying, well, the city's getting this, the city's getting that. Well, you guys are getting a lot too. I mean, you guys make that, Nevada Pacific Parkway, NDOT standards and that overpass, and you guys occupy these buildings. It's going to take off like wildfire. So I think it's a give and take on both sides, but again, we know that there's more people coming. We know you want to put people in those buildings, but nothing's happened yet. And that's why last time that we met here, I asked if it was too much and if it was Nevada Pacific Parkway, the overpass, the power plant, all at one time, if it was putting too much on your guys' plate to get it done. So it's a concern. I mean, it's a lot.
There'd be a lot less being done if we didn't build a power plant. Right? So we don't have a public utility that can provide in an economic timeframe that we're looking for. So I think that needs to be well understood and well thought out. So we've come up with a method that's going to give us power and customers. Second is while the buildings are unoccupied, we've paid for them and the taxes are being paid and we have a lot of activity. I get it. We built the buildings. We went through COVID. We went through an economic downturn. Right now it's moving upwards, right? And so I can't fix what happened. I can just tell you that the activity right now is pretty high. It is so high that we're committing millions of dollars to build out all the office spaces inside because those office spaces are part of what the customers want. So I invite you, Councilman Torres, to come over this Saturday and I'll walk you through it all. Right. And I'll invite any of the council members at your leisure to come over and I'll go through the details of what's happening. Right. There's a lot of things that require confidentiality because that's what the customers want. But I'll walk you through it back and forth. Right. And so I would say that there's a lot of activity going on and that we really feel that we're going to get to a point where all of a sudden we're not going to have any space left. Right. And then we're going to have to build another building. Right. That'd be great. I'd be happy to be off the board to be off my back. Right. But, you know, our folks are out there every day showing the spaces to a wide variety of customers. Right. And those customers look at the economics. You know, one of the things they don't like about Fernley is Interstate 80 because of what's going to go on. They're looking for their back and forth commerce. But again, that doesn't stop them from coming here. They like Fernley. Fernley is an economic dynamo. And they see this for the next 30 to 40 years as the shining spot in Nevada. And I don't say that as hyperbole. That is exactly what they say. And I think Fernley needs to be ready for that. I mean, you guys have a really great effort in front of you, right? We're in that building block stage. And I agree. Once we start, it's gonna go. That's why we're starting the North Fernley plan, right? We have to be able to accurately predict and design based on what we think is going to happen, right? So we do a lot of studies, a lot of analysis with all the businesses that are coming. And we feel that we're ready for that. We feel that the power plant, the power district, that's just the beginning. That's going to allow the bridge to be finished over Interstate 80, allow the road to go across the top, allow the North Fernley plan to take place. All of those things are in the near future. Near future for development's 5 years. We see that happening. Right. And we think we're in good space. There's billions of dollars, billions with the B, of infrastructure that has to go into the north.
Well, we have each council member has their lights on. So I'll let Councilman Mendoza, then Councilman Hannon and Councilwoman Zaberski. They've got some questions.
Okay.
Cool. I got two quick ones. Since we're already halfway through 2026, can we update the billboard for Nevada Pacific coming 2026?
I'm sorry, I can't understand.
Can we update the billboard on 50, same with
We
Nevada
are doing
Pacific?
that. Yep. No,
All right.
that
That'd be
was brought
nice.
up in the last open house, so we started that process.
Yeah, perfect. Why I was chiming in was you said the space was going to be free and provided to the college for free. Is that indefinitely, or will at some point they have to pay Mark for the space?
The space is 10 years lease free. The college costs money to the students.
Correct.
So Western Nevada's economic profile for teaching classes is Western Nevada's. We're giving them the opportunity to have a place to do it that is low cost so they can keep their costs down.
Perfect. So they're going to have space rent for free or at least for 10 years.
They are.
Okay.
And then the space that we currently occupy, Mark IV is a long-term, we plan on building an office building on the other side of the freeway and we'll move into it and we'll turn over the entire space to Western Nevada.
Perfect. Thank you.
Councilman Hannon.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, gentlemen. Thank you very much for the presentation. I don't think we're over. Is there more, or is this the last slide?
It's last slide.
I thought we're getting close. I, for one, want to thank you. For my constituents, nobody in my ward, the 5,000 plus folks that live here in Ward 1 have expressed any panic or distrust in Mark IV. The only thing that I hear is just get the overpass done. And I think we're all on the same board. I think you feel the same way that we do. And I think we're all equally frustrated. I come from the private sector. You're the private sector, and then dealing with the governmental components, it's extremely frustrating just to get one little thing done. We go through all of these loopholes, and people say, why does it take so long? I mean, some of these freeways, take 8, 10 years to be engineered and designed and built and implemented and then funded. Giving back the grant, I don't care. Doesn't mean anything to me. I'm glad they're giving it back. It goes right back to the government. It's the taxpayers' money. You're paying out of your own pocket. This is what I would consider the definition of growth that pays for itself, right? The taxpayers don't have to pay for that. That 25 million goes back in the pool, and hopefully we get some of it somewhere else. The $1 million grant, good for you. Good for you. I'm glad to see that you're using that money to enrich the citizens of Fernley. The folks here's sons and daughters and their kids and grandkids will now have the ability to raise the level of their wealth, raise their ability, their capability to thrive in this economy. When Tesla came here, we saw a big influx of folks from outside the area, and people were pissed about that. They said, we want the jobs. Why are we bringing outside people? Because we don't have the workforce that is trained to do these high-tech jobs. And so by building this facility, you essentially create that right here in Fernley. So if you live in Fernley, everybody knows we've got to go 30 minutes to Costco and 25 minutes to Fallon to eat. We can do that here in our city. We don't have to commute outside. It provides a massive benefit. The $1 million provides, it expands a million times over a decade of how many people are impacted and how many people will be able to do better for themselves and their families and their kids and their grandkids. So with that, it's not a question, it's just a comment. I'm extremely excited. I also want to thank you for being extremely transparent. You're the only company that really comes in here and does these presentations and offers us ways to create revenue and pays for everything yourself. We have so many folks that come in here and don't want to even put in a park. And you're putting in a $110 million roadway, an overpass. And I think a lot of what's been overshadowed is that the city was going to have to maintain that overpass. And you've worked out an arrangement by which NDOT takes the entire road. So the city is completely absolved of any cost to maintain that roadway, including the bridge. And we all know bridge maintenance is insane if you want to get technical about it. All the inspections and the x-rays and all these things that have to happen. So my word to you is that we look forward to the overpass. We look forward to the Early Learning Center. We look forward to the great opportunities that you will provide to people to be able to thrive in this community. So thank you.
Well, thank you.
Councilwoman Zaberski?
He said we a lot, but I have to, luckily, we're pretty diverse up here, right? Which is great for a council because we all have different feelings and opinions about different projects. I've tried really hard, and I feel like I haven't fought this, but I've gone through the Mark IV and the Victory Logistic and the industrial complex now kind of kicking and screaming because the sell of we're going to have all these buildings out here. The only thing I can picture is you taking away my beautiful desert. You're taking away so much land. So just as a council person, I'm just going to be completely honest. That is not, and I know that I'm not alone in that because a lot of the residents out here in Fernley are terrified of having a Tri-2 center in the middle of our city, which is justified. I think that I'm optimistic and I'm still constantly, I'm not set in my ways anyway. And so I'm desperately trying to bring myself to that place where I can go, yeah, I'm really excited about the jobs. I'm really excited about the buildings. I'm excited about the college. Somewhere in my brain, I still see all of my beautiful desert just disappearing and concrete slabs and asphalt. And I'm trying really hard to veer away from that. But I think that the company as a whole should be very conscious that as Nevadans, that's vital to us and something that we hold very close, right? I know, obviously I'm the emotional council member. I am curious, should your power plant not go through, this sounds really bad. I have no intentions of feeling one way about the power plant or not, but should that power plant not go through, then what happens to Victory Logistics? So does it stop where it's at? Does it keep going? Does it keep growing? You find different solutions for power? You wait for MB Energy?
We're not going to wait for advantage.
Okay,
Okay, that's just, we're not doing it.
right.
So we'll find alternate solutions, right? I think the opportunity is here and now. So while data centers are a mystery to a lot, we've got data up in the open house on Saturday that walks through power usage, water usage, and what data centers have to comply with. All right, so there's a lot of negative narrative out there that's based on old data. All right, and I think that's really important to understand. There's a lot of groups out there that don't want to do anything when it comes to expansion. Yet, if you come out to the open house, last open house, we had maybe one naysayer and 200 positive comments about what people want, where they want to go. I can't tell you the number of folks that asked me for a rodeo arena, a Costco, an Albertsons. All of those things have population metrics tied to them. We know exactly what they are, right? I would love to give you a Costco. You need to grow 10,000 more people, right? I mean, Costco looks at as a business sense,
Right.
right? Now, you talk about the desert going away. I would also tell you that you have agreed in your development agreement to the CCIRs for how the different folks have to come in. So the Microsoft has to put in a beautification plan
Mm-hmm.
that makes it look really good, right? You got trees, bushes, greenery. It makes it look nice. Now, it's not the desert. I get that.
Mhm.
But it's not a blight.
Right.
It is something that we're really thinking about. And if you go out there, whether you come to the open house or not, if you go out there now, you'll see the road that's going in. That's an amazing road. Just drive next to Polaris and just go to the top of the hill. It's amazing what goes on, right? And that's taken us a year and a half to get to that point between planning and permissions and construction and all the utility that goes underground. And now we're paving it, right?
Mhm.
So it's basically done. We have the ability to stub out and allow people to build. So we have congressmen or councilmen here asking me about when the workforce is going to come. You got to build the building for them to come. So we have buildings built and we're trying to put people into them right now. But we have other companies that want to build their own factories in their own way. So we're working through that as well. So development is broad, it's diverse, it has a lot of ups, has a lot of downs, right? And it's economically based. So I think at this point, we've created something that is very attractive, not only to data centers want a lot of power, but there's a lot of businesses that want to come out here. And they want to put in what they believe is a sound economic plan for whatever it is they sell. Right? And I think this is a great place for it, and that workforce follows them. So where does workforce come? So Councilman Hanna said, we got to build that. Well, the Workforce Development Center trains and retrains. And that's that's part of what I talked to Kyle Dalpy, who's the president of Western Nevada. You have to be able to retrain the workforce, right? We want them to be able to come back to Fernley, go through the class and go right into the workforce. So your commute is reduced,
Mhm.
right? Additionally, we're looking at our high schoolers. So we're looking at 11th graders and 12th graders. And so you don't have to go to college, but you can go to vocational school, right?
Right.
There's a lot of value in that. And there's also a growth pattern for that. They can get a 20-year job in their hometown that pays well. And it has a growth alignment with it. So they can go from the beginning and they can go up to management. I mean, we're trying to lay all of that out, right? Now, I can't tell you who Microsoft's going to hire. I can just tell you the volume that they're going to hire. Are they going to hire a senior manager from Fernley? Probably not, right? Are they going to hire a lot of the 80% who run the buildings from around here? Absolutely. Right? That's just the way it works. They're going to train them at the Workforce Development Center. Same with the other companies that want to come here, right? They're going to import some management because that's what they do. But the vast majority of their workforce is going to come from the surrounding area. Are we prepared for that? And I would say that that's what we're trying to do, is be prepared for that.
I can see that. I think that I'm also nervous just as a city, if Victory Logistics is growing that fast and it happens that quickly, is the city going to be able to keep up with the infrastructure of our city, like the main, the main arterial, that's a hard word, the main roads that we're gonna have to maintain that are not involved in the special assessment district because they won't be in that area. But if we have workforce coming from out of town and utilizing the city's infrastructure as well, is the city itself gonna be able to keep up with the industrial area taking off quicker?
Under your current budget, no. The budget
Right.
that we infuse into the city's general fund, I think that's the city's decision on how they want to apply those funds. And so, but
So I don't,
if-
sorry, I don't want to, and also I'm not trying to hash everything out at this moment, but I think that these kind of meetings, and if we're going to do these, I forgot how often we're
Every
doing
2
them.
years.
Every 2 years. If we're going to have those, then we can hopefully squash the fears and the concerns of the community at the same time, because I don't think that the naysayers are going to come to the open house. They're not going to come to the open house of Victory Logistics so they can tell you how much they dislike it. So I understand why you didn't have a ton of negative comments, but hopefully we can squash some of those things, and some of the different fear mongering that's happening with it being campaign season
Yeah.
now, so that people are aware.
I think that's a great point, though. I just heard two sides, that we're going too fast or we're not going fast enough. So that's the life I live. I get it. Okay. And so we're doing the best we can with the material that we have and the environment that we're in. And I think we're doing a pretty good job. And and I got thick skin. You can ask me all the questions you want.
Yeah,
While this is every 2 years, you're welcome to come over every week and I'll walk you through what we're doing.
great.
Right? Sometimes development is like watching paint dry, right? And so it just takes a while. But all of a sudden, things blew, like the fire station.
Mm.
Fire station's been dirt for a couple months. A month from now, it's going to be vertical walls. It's going to go really fast. And then it's going to slow way down as they go through the final touches. Right? That's just the way development
Right.
goes.
Well, my life feels similar. Excited, jobs, money, terrified,
Right.
changing my city completely. So
Councilman-
we're both.
If I may, can I add just one quick narrative? I think I failed to provide you with a little bit of background on me. I served as a Washington County Commissioner for 8 years and then served as this Nevada State Infrastructure Coordinator under Governor Lombardo. And to your point, it is very scary in regards to watching development because it takes quite a bit of time to get it established. I know under my tenure, we had projects come in and people hounding us, public wanting, delivery of a project. When is it coming? When is it coming? Then all of a sudden, the very next day, the contractor's out there building a road. It takes time, but then all of a sudden it's either feast or famine. But I want to share with you a really quick story. And I think this is prudent to this conversation because what Mark IV is doing is taking the steps necessary to make sure that everything is aligned and everything is going to be situated, not just for them, but for the city of Fernley and all the residents. And I want to bring up Tri-Center. Tahoe Reno Industrial Center, when it was constructed, had only the access to Internet 80. And as it grew with its tremendous size, sold out, was very popular, they had to go back after the fact, after Tri-Center was established in Story County, with the help of the governor, to build the extension of USA Parkway all the way over to Silver Springs. That was something that was an afterthought, not knowing what the impact was going to be to the community. I think what Mark IV is doing is looking really at the impact to the community and how can we look at the errors or the work of other counties in Northern Nevada and how can we project ourselves into a place where we're not. I'm a 5th generation Northern Nevadan, born and raised, been out here my entire life. And when you look at these types of things, when you talk about impacts to the city, impacts to the area are, for a long time, and we even saw this in the state legislature, many members of our legislature tried to pass bills that County had to pay restitution to other counties because so much of the workforce was coming from Washoe County and Lyon County in the city of Fernley, but you weren't getting any of the tax dollars for it. You were getting maybe the public, the parcel taxes and some of those things, but you weren't getting a good, and it cost you much more to have residential than it does commercial. Now, when you're talking about Mark IV and Victory Logistics, what you're looking at is a future of having somebody to do what Mr. Nelson pointed out, is having somebody within the community where you have a workforce that lives within their community versus having to traverse a number of miles to and from and causing other challenges. So I think that right there in itself is a big issue that once you're going to see the financial benefit of it, you're not going to have the constraints and the challenges of having a residence here and a workforce having to travel. You're going to have the benefits here right within your community, and you're going to see that towards your future growth. And I think the other thing that you want to look at is that one of the things is you brought up, Councilwoman, is that, you know, when Tri-Center grew and, or Councilman Torres, I'm sorry, when you brought up when the Tri-Center started, 5% of the workforce came here from Fernley. Now that is at 22%. It is growing. So you are getting the impacts of the residents to your roads, to your community, everything already. The growth is happening, but you are not seeing the reciprocal revenue come back into the city from that benefit that will fund your services. And so I think when you have to look at it, you have to look at it from a broader spectrum, is that what are we not getting in persuasion to actually having something of our own where we see the actual benefit of that. And so when you have concerns about growth, and there are cities within Northern Nevada that would beg to be in the position the city of Fernley is in currently right now. I think you guys are sitting on such a precipice of change that is dramatically going to improve everything in this community. Not that it's not a beautiful community, and trust me, I love it. I live here, I've been here, lived here. My grandfather, we used to have a ditch right off of Farm District Road, pasture of Farm District Road. But to your point is that we have to build the infrastructure first. Then we have to put the buildings in place. Then once we get the tenants and the jobs come, there's a process that goes into that, and it takes time. As Councilman Torres, this is a wrinkle in time in comparison to what it really takes. And so please be patient with us, but be assured that these are the necessary steps that need to be taken to get to where we need to go for the benefit of all, not just Mark IV, not just City of Fernley, but of all.
Well, thanks, Bob. Does that answer your question, ma'am?
Yes.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, I just, so we'll take a break here in a minute, but before I do, I just want to make a comment on Mark IV and what they've done for the city of Fernley. You know, you've put a plan together, you've shared it with everybody, you've moved forward with it without really having income to pay you back to what you've already put into it. And I don't know how many millions of dollars you have sitting out there, and you're still building and you're still trying to create the plan that you set forth for the city of Fernley. I appreciate what you're doing. I appreciate the fact that the revenues you're going to bring in to the city of Fernley, to where we're going to get our roads fixed. We're going to be able to improve our parks. We're going to be able to give the people more amenities as the power plant and Victory Logistic grows. I'm excited for it. I've been in Fernley 66 years, and I love the desert as well. We do have a lot of desert around us. I like the fact that the project is built out on the northeast side of Fernley. It's not in the middle of town like a lot of power plants have plants that are right in town. This is on the outside of town. I think it's a really good plan, and I just want to say thank you for bringing your product and stuff to Fernley. So having said that, if you're done, we will take a break.
If I could take one more minute, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah.
We go to the last slide, please. All right, so again, 9 May, this Saturday, 10 to 2, and we'll have the entire Victory crew out there and leadership from the company, and we can talk through everything we talked through here in detail. We're also going to give tours. So a lot of people ask me that you don't see anything going on, but we're going to take you out into the park and you'll see what's going on. It's massive.
It is.
It's massive. And so we're putting in 4.5 miles of sewer line. I mean, that's a lot. You know, we're putting in storm drain, we're putting in fiber, we're putting in electrical. We're putting all these things in. No one ever sees it because it goes underground, right? But you really have to recognize that the the elements to give us a really great process goes in. The last thing I want is the customer to go, I don't have that. Why come you don't have that, next to my curb? Well, I'm not going to dig the road back up because the mayor won't let me. So I need to do it the first time, right? And so we're doing all that planning, but please come out. We can show you all that. The railroad's even more impressive. That's the road is all the way down to the rail bed's all the way down to the main line. And it's looking great. And I think that's going to be good. So I'll leave you with that, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, everybody, for your attention and your questions. I love questions, and I would ask you to keep doing it. Please come out. We'll stop what we're doing to give you a tour or go through any questions that you have. And that includes anybody in the public as well. Our doors are always open. Again, thank you.
And I just want to say, if you haven't been out to Victory Logistics and you hear all the talk about what's going on, I really encourage you to go out there and get this tour and see actually everything they've done. It is really impressive. So anyways, thank you. All right, we'll adjourn 10-minute recess.
Madison?
Yes, hello.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. My name is Madison Pong. I'm with Design Workshop, and I'm here tonight to present the progress on the concept design for the roundabout. Next page, please. So as we started looking at, how we wanted to orient elements in the roundabout and what, throughways and roads connect that area, we, evaluated, people that are coming off 80 down into the city, as well as, the primary residential areas south of the roundabout that would be coming towards it from the south, as well as looking at, where City Hall is and the town, out of town park and some of the other major facilities. So starting to think about, just where we might want to locate things. Next slide. In addition to that, also just looking at, views from different sides of the roundabout, what landmarks are visible, landforms, and just seeing if any of that could affect how we design the roundabout. We can flip through this one and then the next one as well. So just kind of looking at, you guys generally know what it looks like, but what we're working with right now, generally open space with mountains out in the background. And over the past few months, we've worked on a couple concept designs, and we met with city staff a few weeks ago to review 3 different concepts. And then from there, we developed a preferred concept, which is what we're looking at right now. And I'll run through the other concepts as well that we evaluated with staff. So looking at the roundabout, we're looking at using the monument as the very centerpiece. We've also, in that recent meeting with the city staff, we were able to meet with the artist for the monument to see, how that could interact with the design of the roundabout. So we're looking at using mounded features on the west side of the roundabout, kind of playing off of, the natural mountain ranges in Nevada. So thinking about, we have the most mountain ranges of any state, which is a cool fact. So thinking about how we can bring that down to this small scale. So using boulders in specific locations and kind of tying those to peaks that surround, the valley. So, Virginia Peak and Pond Peak and a couple others that kind of surround. And then also looking at, how we will treat the surfaces of the roundabout as well. So looking at things that are going to be very maintenance friendly, but also still including planting so that we can, soften it a bit. So, utilizing different sizes of rock mulch as well as different colors and boulders as well. So ways to, incorporate some of those features, and then using pretty hardy native plants, but still wanting to have things that will have a little bit of color and some interest as well. And then also, we need to think about some of the, NDOT requirements too for roundabouts and some of those pieces. So making sure that there's, the outer ring that we're showing inside of the paved area is, a smaller cobble that can be driven on if it needs to be, if something happens, and for maintenance and those kinds of things too. So making sure that whatever we design will work with the maintenance needs and, any sort of access that's required. We've also, worked with staff on making sure that, there is some like drainage features that exist in there as well. So making sure we're not, affecting those too much. So maintaining the storm drain that exists kind of near the number 2 on the screen. And then looking at the section, we wanted to kind of show like how much grade we're really proposing. It is fairly mellow, partly to make sure that, sight lines are not affected and that it's not overshadowing the great art piece that's going to go in the center. So you can see below where we have the mounded side and then the monument in the center, and then swooping down a little bit on the east side. So this was the direction that we received from staff to make this concept. And then the next 2 that I'll run through were, some of them are more initial concepts that we melded into this one a little bit. So this one, we messed with the landforms a little bit differently and have more mounded features closer to the north with the monument offset and more of a feature facing people as they're coming off 80 into town. And this one, we also looked at using heavier planting, so a bit more of like herbaceous materials and grasses and those kinds of things. So a little bit heavier than the concept that was preferred. Next slide. And then we also wanted to make sure we showed the full range of possibilities. So seeing that it is the desert and maintenance is always a concern, that we wanted to show one that was, no planting, that we leaned heavily into ways we can use different rock mulches using, pretty big boulders and other types of rocks. And this was not preferred, but, wanted to make sure we showed everything that could be possible, since this is a tactic that's pretty common across Western Nevada and other places. Next slide. And then we just have a few slides of some of the materials too. So all of the rock that we looked at comes from Reno rock, which is, a local source. So different colors and sizes that they have that does blend into, our natural environment. I would say the red one in the bottom right was not preferred, so won't be using anything quite that colorful. Next slide. And then all of the plants that we're looking at proposing would be, extremely drought hardy, native, but still have some color and things like that too. So a few of the more herbaceous species that would, bloom in, spring into the fall as well. Next slide, please. And then also looking at a few of the different native grasses. Those are always like super hardy, and they also have like a nice look throughout the year too, even when they've like died back a little bit, and they've got that nice golden color, but very pretty. Next. And then for some of the larger plants, obviously we don't want to put in any shrubbery or trees that are too big, again, for making sure that, sight lines are maintained throughout that area. So looking at, the bitter brush that blooms pretty early in spring, as well as, the desert peach, and then some of those hardier shrubs like the sagebrush and the Mormon tea. Next slide. And then in some of our earlier work too, we wanted to, see what other examples were out there. So looking at a couple in Tahoe, as well as a few other places as well, seeing like how the planting is done, how art pieces have been integrated. The one at the top, that's Stewart Street in Carson. So they built out the roundabout and then added the art in later. So planning for it and making sure there's space, and then, very simple planting, but also utilizing multiple types of rock mulch. These also are a little bit smaller, so we need to think about, how that like scale of art versus planting plays out in ours, because this roundabout's a bit bigger. And then another example in Kings Beach at the bottom, a little bit more low key. And then I think there's two more. So another one in Truckee. This one actually did have trees, so it's a little bit of a variance. Don't know if that would quite work here. And then one last example in Mount Rose that had art in a slightly different configuration. Granted, this was before we knew what the art piece was. So looking at, how some of those things are integrated in other locations, but also, this one has like a dry creek and mixed rock and boulders and some of those more natural elements that we thought were helpful to look at. And I think that is it. That's just a end page there, but we could probably scroll back to the preferred concept and take questions there.
Councilwoman Zaberski and then Councilman Mendoza.
I know this is just a presentation. Is there like a vague price associated with any of the designs?
We provided very rough opinion of cost to staff earlier this week for some of the budgeting. I believe it was just under 200,000, but that's again very, very preliminary, just a cost opinion at this point. And that didn't include like all of the mobilization and construction and all of that.
This is Olivia John, Deputy Public Works Director. For the record, she's correct.
They were all under 200,000?
Not all of them. So she's referring to the preferred concept that's on the screen right now.
Okay.
Yeah,
Do
so we
have
just
a
did the
cost
pricing on
for
this one.
the monument?
That count covers the monument as well. The
Covers the
monument's
monument.
about 50,000.
Okay. And we're using like beautification money, or did the city set aside 100,000? Or do you know the amount that we budgeted for the project itself?
I'll have to defer that over to Robert Carson.
Oh, Robert Carson, City Treasurer, for the record. As of now, we don't have anything budgeted because we didn't know what the idea was. The $100,000 that you mentioned, that was for the 4th of July or the 25th anniversary celebrations. This will be a different amount, and if this goes forward and council wants to pursue it, it'll be added to the final budget.
But this is not something we can go after for grant monies as well? Yeah. I would definitely prefer to do that before it goes into final
Yeah,
budget.
we can
Um,
definitely explore that one.
Also, I'm just curious because obviously with how fast we're growing and I think, I don't remember how long ago NDOT came in here and is doing like a review of our main roadways, but if we expand the roundabout, is the center going to change whatsoever or it'll go outwards? Like, are we going to pay 200,000 to get all of the vegetation and everything put in? And then our roundabout is going to change vastly to accommodate growth?
Olivia John, Deputy Public Works Director. For the record, since I can't speak for NDOT, I don't have an answer to that, but Barry Williams might.
Barry Williams, Public Works Director, for the record. The monument will not be lost, but there's a good possibility that we could lose some of the vegetation and some of the rocks that will be placed in there if there is a future redesign of the roundabout. There is opportunity to discuss with NDOT landscape features and basically to see if we can add that to a future design if it came to that.
I think that would be a really good idea because I'm just nervous that we're like, yeah, this looks great. I love this design. And then we put money into it and NDOT comes in and says, yeah, well, you can move your monument and you can move it back when we're done with construction, but everything else is lost. It seems like we should just be working with them from the get as far as like the design goes. And I know that she said, I'm sorry, I can't read her name. I know that she said that I know that she said that they are obviously using NDOT standards to do it, but if that's going to be, I feel like right now the monument is great, but maybe we should be thinking more temporary stuff and not as hardcore landscaping until we know what NDOT is going to have us do as far as widening, the roundabout, or maybe they come in and say we're getting rid of the roundabout all the way around, and then we're just $200,000 out. So just an idea.
Olivia John, Deputy Public Works Director, for the record. Again, keep in mind that we do have to apply for a temporary right-of-way permit with NDOT to occupy the roundabout for construction anyway. So they may not approve the project. And it can be months out before they approve it anyway. So.
Okay, so I guess then why are we doing this right now? I mean, just to decide what we're going to show them? Or like there's a chance that we say yes, and then we get our whole community excited about landscaping the roundabout, and then we take it to NDOT and they go get burnt? Yes? Okay. Thank you.
Barry Williams, Public Works Director, for the record. So we have to have something to approach NDOT with, and this was an initiative that was identified during our last budget discussion to improve the roundabout. So this is an effort to give them a design to look at for approval. And I will add that right now there's not any future plans to change the roundabout configuration at this point in NDOT's capital improvement plan at this point. So I really don't know if there's going to be a future project at this point, but it just hasn't been identified. But we have to be able to give them something to approve.
Thank you.
Councilman Mendoza and then Councilman Hannon.
Yeah, Director Williams, you could probably answer this. I was under the impression NDOT was already booked out 10 years and Fernley had nothing coming. So we'll get 10 years out of it at least.
That is correct. Right now, there is nothing identified in their future capital scope to address the roundabout.
Councilman Hannon.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. In our meeting with NDOT in Carson City in the beginning of 23, we addressed this with them, and they said we were not on the 10-year plan. Conversations sort of materialized in 25 about the overcrowding of the roundabout, and NDOT told us, I'm paraphrasing, in such a way that once you build the overpass, we believe it will alleviate the congestion at that roundabout and bring it back down to an acceptable level, at which time that level is then exceeded again. They already do have they did have at one point a project, and they told us that that design was outdated and it's no longer used. And I think they're talking about the approach. If you go to USA Parkway and 50, there are these huge swings that you go into before you go into the roundabout to slow traffic down, way down. And ours are direct approaches, which I think is part of our problem. People are jamming in there at high speeds and no one can merge. So they identified that that roundabout, that there was sufficient room in that major intersection to accommodate a 2-lane roundabout and a completely different design. I'm the one that put this on the agenda originally last year. And we talked about, my suggestion was to do a simple zero-scape, something just to clean it up to make it look nice. And the consensus of the council at that time, I believe three people on the council wanted a monument and some extra accoutrements, I guess is what you would say. So I love the idea of the monument. It's something that I didn't think was appropriate at the time. The more I see it, and the more the folks have seen it, the reaction has been, I think it's been mixed, but I think the people that are logical and that are thinking about the beautification of downtown like this, you, Councilman Mendoza, mentioned that you wanted an item that was able to be removed, that we could lift it and remove it. And this fixture is all metal and it can be lifted and removed and brought back. So I think as the corridor, the center of the corridor of where most people are going right now, we owe it to the folks of Fernley to try to beautify that intersection. I know we're doing work on Out-of-Town Park, and my long-term thought process is that Out-of-Town Park is going to be beautified, the roundabout's going to be beautified, and then it will sort of echo out in all directions. So I love the monument. I think the monument, I believe, was 50,000. That's what we discussed in some of our meetings. So really the rest of the money was just the landscaping. And I think there's a way to maybe tamp that price down by removing some of the landscaping and maybe doing a more minimalistic with the monument. I mean, the monument really stands out. It does have an American flag on it, and everyone in the survey requested a flag. So I think we're fulfilling most of the things. The cost is a little high, though.
Councilwoman Zaberski.
We have water that goes to the roundabout?
Livy John, Deputy Public Works Director, for the record. There's water in there, but the water meter was removed and the line was capped, but there's water there. You can turn it back on.
So just out of curiosity, should we say, yes, go forward. We love this design. Take it to NDOT and see what they say. Is that meeting going to happen in time before our budget needs to be approved so that we can earmark it in our budget for this year?
So Robert Carson, City Treasurer, for the record. So if you were to say tonight, yes, go forward, present this to NDOT, then I would add it to the final budget that's going to be presented and approved in 2 weeks. And then from there, Public Works would take it to NDOT and have that conversation. If the money isn't spent, then those earmarked funds just go back into the fund balance. If they do approve it, then we'll start spending it, and we have the money set aside already.
Oh, thank you.
Councilman Mendoza.
Yeah, I see this more as a basic concept just to bring to NDOT. It's not like the final product, right?
Correct. Yeah, this is conceptual level.
Yeah, so I mean, I see a bunch of scribbly lines, and so I would like to see more details before we actually approve it. So I would like to move forward with this concept to see if NDOT will approve it and kind of see where that takes us. But if we approve it and it gets put into the budget, I don't want any money spent on it unless we approve the actual final design and things like that.
And Aaron Mortson, city attorney, I would add in that because of the cost, it sounds like there's going to be at least 2 contracts that would have to come back to council, at least one for the sculpture and one for the development and design. So you would see this at least 2 more times before it could be approved for expenditure of money.
Perfect. Was everybody good?
Sorry, I have one more question.
Don't be sorry.
Councilwoman Zaberski and then Councilman Hannon.
You gonna be here all night? No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Sharon's like, no. Does the city is the city responsible for all of that property on just like those pieces that you can see outside of the roundabout as well?
Olivia John, Deputy Public Works Director for the record. The sections on the outside of the roundabout, that's NDOT. In the center, we maintain the center, but the center still belongs to NDOT. It's still NDOT's right away.
Okay, thank you.
Councilman Hannon.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Councilman Mendoza, there is a rendering that staff has, but as the 25th anniversary, there's built in an unveiling of the concept. And I think so that's why they didn't put it up here tonight. It is a rendering that's similar to some of what you see here, but I would encourage you to reach out to the mayor's staff. They do have a rendering that is much more intricate. It explains a little bit better about what they're doing and who can do it, who's proposed to do it. And I think, you know, in keeping with the unveiling, I won't reveal anymore, but it's quite delightful. It's very nice, and I think you'd be surprised. I was shocked. I thought, wow, this is really big for Fernley, and at a cost of $50,000, I think everybody thought that it was very reasonable. So we have a local artist that I think has proposed to build it. I would definitely pursue getting a copy of that and not sharing it with the public. But the idea was if this was approved, at some level, there would be an unveiling of a picture of this or an unveiling of a cardboard cutout of it at the 25th anniversary. And that's all I'll say unless anyone else has anything to add. I know Lydia knows a little more about it.
Councilman Mendoza, did you have? Well, I'll entertain a motion.
I don't, it just says we don't need a motion. Do you need us to like recommend staff go forward, or it just says presentation? So what kind of direction are you looking for from us?
I can.
Mine says discussion possible action.
Yeah, I mean, in the motion section, it does say no motion is needed, but if you want a motion, I'll make a motion that we proceed with the next step of the concept that the staff and the public has agreed on. Is there a number 1, 2, 3 or something? Which one is
we just called this one the preferred concept.
Okay, well then I'll rephrase it. I make a motion that we move to the next phase, the preferred concept for the roundabout project.
Councilwoman Zaberski or Councilman Mendoza?
Can we add into that motion that the city work closely with NDOT as far as the design goes?
Absolutely. I'll amend my motion that the city work hand in hand with NDOT to make sure this conforms with any future requirements, current requirements, future expansions, et cetera, if that suffices.
I'll second.
That looks kind of vague.
We have a motion and a second. We have a motion by Councilman Hannon, seconded by Councilwoman Zaberski. Please vote. Or Councilman Mendoza, did you have comment?
Oh, no, I touched that on accident.
Motion carries 4-0.
Great, thank you all. We look forward to working with you and staff and NDOT as we move this forward.
Thank you.
Good night.
We'll now move on to line item 5.3 for possible action, discussion possible action to approve agreement for the installation of public art and the city locations during the Murals, Music and Margaritas Festival and the allocation of $6,500 from the mayor's community support budget presented by Fernley ACES.
Hello, I am Skylong. I'm going to start with a quick recap. I attended the Travel Nevada Rural Roundup, and I wanted to start with that. So the Rural Roundup, they went over numbers in general for tourism for Nevada over the last year compared to the year before. Room tax collection is down 1.5%, room nights down 5.1%, visitor volume is down 6.5%, airport volume is down 5.3%. However, even though these percentages are down a little, there's a heavy focus on Brand USA marketing for foreign travel. The area of focus for Nevada travel are outdoor recreation, rural experience, astrotourism, such as dark sky events, soft adventures such as e-bike trails, and cultural experiences. Half of the events nominated for best events were powwows, and the Cantaloupe Festival was highlighted, and the Cowboy Poetry Gathering was the winner. Number 4 on the list of Nevada travel is what they call gig tripping. So that's kind of the umbrella where we fall under. The ACEs, especially for events such as Inferno and music murals and margaritas. So music tourism is $7.7 billion industry. 60% of event attendees plan multi-day trips around a gig or a cultural festival. $1,200 is the estimated spend per person. We also fall into a good category for road trip, day trips. Fernley is the perfect focus of a day trip adventure. Advertising aimed at tourists coming in for an event that they may have booked in Reno is ideal for us, as it shows we are an easy drive, can be visited for the day, and encourages them to spend their money in our economy. Travel Nevada and Pony Express territory are currently focusing more efforts on road trip advertising. Another good piece of news is that I got permission for our organization to be a part of both the Pony Express territory and the Reno Sparks territory. I think that's really important for us because we are operating as a city and both a rural environment. So that's just kind of a general overview of Rural Roundup. That was 3 days of a lot of information in just a short paragraph.
Do you guys have any questions for Sky before we move on to our proposals? Okay. So Jamie Daniels, Fernley Aces, and today we're here to talk to you about our proposed murals for 2026 Music Murals and Margaritas on city properties. So we are proposing murals at the out-of-town park, at the gazebo, the memorial wall, where the train depot bathrooms, the out-of-town park dugouts, and a new building at the CRRC. The total financial investment we're asking for from the city is $6,500. First, we'll start with the memorial wall. This gazebo is one of the central features of many of the city celebrations. The 4th of July, there's, movie nights in the park. Mural Fest is happening there this year. Do you guys see those little tiny black dots in the back of the wall back there? If you didn't know what those are, they're plaques honoring people who have fallen in the line of duty in public service. And we really want to turn this into a feature rather than an afterthought. We think it deserves better treatment than we're seeing right now, especially as a backdrop for so much of our community's celebrations. Starting with the center section, we've split it basically into 3 pieces. So there's the center and then the 2 side wings. The center is a tribute to public servants in various branches of the military and things like fire department, EMS, sheriffs. There will be silhouettes of all of them on both sides flanking what is now a feature for those plaques. There's a frame and a background to draw attention to them. We've got the American flag. We've got that honor to those people who have served. This will be done by artist Crystal Gale, and she is a local Fernley resident. She's also a volunteer for the ACEs. She's a military veteran, and she's a teacher at FIS. She really likes to make meaningful pieces of art that are story-driven and capture real emotion. She's also really excited about this project. Next are the side wings, and we have another artist who is a military veteran and just one of the nicest people you will ever meet. Edwin Esco Martinez has painted murals in Fernley before, and we'll get to that in just a moment. But as you can see here, these are the side wings that lead up to either side of the gazebo. So they feature portraits of people in various lines of work to kind of complement that center section with the silhouettes. Edwin has painted murals here in Fernley, including at the rodeo arena, like that big long one inside the rodeo. He also painted at Guadalajara. He's painted like those horses in Carson. I believe the bottom one's in Reno. He's a very talented artist and again, very excited to be a part of this special project as a military veteran.
So that bottom one was inside UNR.
Oh, okay, thank you. Yeah, same as Reno. And
It's
then
really big. It doesn't, the picture doesn't do it justice.
then we have the depot restroom. So we're looking at the wall that faces Main Street and it'll feature a train, a throwback to Fernley's history, part of the depot to honor what the depot was and still is for Fernley. It's a piece of our history as we barrel forward into all this new development. The artist actually is not Haley Meadows. I apologize for that. We had a change up due to something really exciting actually, that we got a much bigger wall and a grant for it for Haley. And so we pulled in Jen Charbonneau. I'll tell you a little bit more about her in just a moment, but her style fits this piece really well. We're looking for something vintage, something that feels like it's been there for a while. It isn't shiny and new. It feels like something that goes along with the history of this building. She's going to use sepia tones, so it'll look like something that's coming right out of history for us. So it'll complement the colors of the building that's already there. So Jen Charbonneau, the mural on top of the Silver Spur Saloon, the cowboy and the cows, that is one of her pieces. She also painted a mountain scene on the side of the fire department. I do have a mock-up that I emailed to the clerk from Jen for this space, and I'll see if we can pull that up at the end. But if not, I do have a picture I can actually show you on my phone so you guys can see what she's done. But she's a really talented artist, and I think she's a perfect fit for this. Next, we have the Little League dugouts. These two actually will be paid for by the Fernley Little League, High Desert Little League. We're bringing in artist Alyssa Compton, and she has the two sketches there. I do have a full color one that I got after this was put together, but the splashes behind those two images will be sunset colors in honor of families who spend so much time out at those ball fields watching their kids learn and grow and play sports, because we have such incredible skies. So we really wanted to tie that piece into these. So on the top, we have battle-born bighorn sheep jumping out of a Nevada, and then we have play ball and a baseball as sort of a playful nod to baseball. Alyssa Compton is a very talented artist out of Elko. She hasn't had a chance to paint in Fernley before. We're really excited about her past work, excited to have her here, and Little League has already approved her mock-up, so it's just up to you guys to approve that painting. And last, we have the CRRC concessions and ticket stand. I know Cody has been in here working on getting all the permits and everything to get this building actually placed. So at this moment, the building isn't on the property, but as soon as it is, this is the concept from artist Chad Rice to wrap all the way around that concession stand, featuring a Nevada sunset and Nevada landscape and a train coming around the side of it. And that one is going to be paid for by the Fernley Community Foundation. Chad Rice is the art teacher at the high school. He is one of the founders of the ACEs. We have several pieces of his art throughout the city, so I know you guys know him, and we all love him, so we're excited to have him paint something this year too. All in all, we're leaning really hard into historic things this year, trying to honor America 250, Fernley's 25th anniversary, the history of where we came from and where we're going, honoring the people that make that possible and what makes us a community. So I hope that you guys vote to fund these special projects this year, and we appreciate your time. Any questions? Oh, thank you for pulling up that. There's the concept from Jen. So that's just a sketch version of it to show you what the train will look like. That one is a more completed, filled out sketch, so you can see how she'll color it in. Like I said, it'll be sepia tones though to match the building. And that one is a train that she painted in Carson City. That way you guys see a better idea of what she's going to be able to do. Thank you for that.
Councilwoman Zaberski.
Thank you for not crying, because it would have been just waterworks up here. I really like that you guys went with like a theme this year, kind of the Patriot, and then like very Nevada, very, and it's not that I don't I know that our community loves like the really bright colors, but keeping it era correct for the train depot is ideal for me. Because as soon as you said train depot bathrooms, I was like, don't touch them, because we just want to stay so close to what it was originally. But the artwork on the spur is pretty era correct for them, and it's not too loud and in your face. So I think that that's great. And having that wall at the out of town park gazebo is great, because we do also have so many Patriot events out there. You know, we have the 9/11 events, or just I think that just having that, if you've ever been there when there's nobody there, it's just such a peaceful place that you could go and sit and think and look at the wall and remember those people. So I really don't even do it. So I don't. But I really like the that you kind of went with the theme, because I feel like that's been hard for me to follow like over the years for the murals, because it's like we have this rainbow bird here and this owl here, and I was like, oh my God, there's so much stuff, happening. So, but I'm also grateful that you guys are bringing in veterans to do some of those paintings that are for veterans. So.
Yeah, that was really important to us on that project, because we really felt that to really tie it into that community and to be really truly meaningful, aside from just the imagery, it really should come from the heart, from somebody who's been there. So it's really special to us too.
Councilman Torres.
I was going to make a motion.
I just have a quick comment.
Go ahead, Councilman Hannan and Councilman Torres.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I echo the sentiments of Councilwoman Zaberski. Love the fact that it is appropriate for the area where it's going. A lot of folks, maybe I generalize too much. Some folks see things too much art, and they don't appreciate it, or they don't like it. Or this is excellent. I don't think anyone would not like it. I think you'd get 85%, which is huge, approval of something like this, and that's what I love to see when we impact the majority of the folks that live here. And so I was thinking the same thing as you about the train depot and the bathroom, and I'm looking at the roof of the picture of the bathroom, and it matches appropriately to the roof of the depot, and I'm like, but when I saw the pictures of the train, I was pleasantly surprised. So you guys are great. I just want to thank you on the left for the history lesson. I said that I walked up to you. I love learning stuff like this. It just helps everyone understand where we are, where we come from, and where we're going. So thank you all. So you're great.
Thank you.
Well, I just want to make a comment too, that I too love the fact that the mural themes are matching where you're putting the art, the baseball at the baseball field, and the firemen and all that at the wall. And so, yeah, thank you for doing that. That really makes a lot of sense to me. Councilman Torres.
Thank you, ladies, for the presentation. Good job, Sky. I move to approve the installation of the proposed public artwork at the out-of-town park, depot restroom, and CRRC concession ticket building, as well as the agreement of Fernley Aces Arts and Culture Event Squad for the Murals, Music, and Margaritas Festival. Further move to approve the allocation of $6,500 from the mayor's community support budget.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilman Torres, seconded by Councilman Hannan. Please vote. Motion carries 4-0.
I have a question, Mr. Mayor.
No question.
Go ahead. The little ticket building, is that going to stay there, or is that temporary?
No, it's going to stay there. And actually, I don't have all of the details about that. You'd have to talk to Cody or the Community Foundation about, but it's a permanent structure. I know they've been in here working on getting permits.
All right. Thank you. Good luck on your project.
Thank you guys very much. We appreciate it. Thank you for your support.
So now we're going to move on to line item 6, staff reports, and we're going to put 6.1 and 6.3 together. Seems how they're about the same thing. So 6.1 is for presentation to evaluate the top 3 selected consultants to conduct an efficiency study for the city of Fernley. And 6.3 is discussion possible action to recommend to staff Negotiate a contract with a consultant for the purpose of completing the efficiency study for the city of Fernley. Deputy Acting City Manager Lydia Altic presenting this.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Council. Lydia Altic for the record. So a little background. I'm here because Councilman Mendoza requested an efficiency study. So during the first week of March, the city sent out an RFP. We received 10 proposals. The top 5 were selected for interviews by the interview committee. We conducted the interviews and we have brought the top 3 here this evening to do a 15-minute presentation followed by some questions and answers. All of them have done dozens of these exact studies in cities all over across the nation, cities of all sizes. So they have a great knowledge of the best practices of performing cities, excuse me. And this is a presentation only for this section of for this item. So if we're all set to go, we're going to first have Matrix do a presentation. And they are available on Zoom, I hope.
Councilwoman Zaberski, go ahead.
Each of the presentations are 15 minutes apiece?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. Aaron Baggerly with Matrix Consulting Group. I do have a presentation here that I am sending the request to the clerk so I can share on my screen unless they are going to share our presentation. Thank you for this opportunity to share more about the Matrix Consulting Group and how we would approach your efficiency study for all city departments there. Just a quick overview of the Matrix Consulting Group. We were founded in 2002. We are headquartered in California with consultants across the United States. We have worked in 46 states, including in several communities in Northern Nevada and Southern Nevada as well. Over our 24 years of existence, we've conducted over 200 organizational-wide studies, plus an additional 1,600 department-specific studies over our 24 years as a company. And that includes a wide variety of individuals and studies for all types of municipal operations, for fast-growing communities such as Fernley to even larger communities as such. Our study results within 3 years at 85% implementation rate of our study recommendations. This is a very high implementation rate because we developed a very tailored solution and recommendation and action plan for each of our communities that we worked in. Our approach is fact-based, emphasizing both stakeholder input to create detailed and achievable, implementable strategies and solutions that are highly tailored to each of our clients' needs. Just a quick overview of many clients that we have worked with. These are just some of our fast-growing clients and communities of similar size in that 25 to 40,000 population range where Fernley is now and will be going over the next few years as you continue to grow. Many of these studies have focused on operational efficiency, process improvement, technology utilization, etc. as part of this. To understand, to identify staffing processes, operational and organizational improvements with this for the communities that we have worked with. As you can see here, I am representing our broader project team of experts that cover all subject matter areas and
Excuse me, Aaron.
Yes.
Can you hold on 1 second? We're having some technical difficulties. We cannot see your presentation.
All right, give me a second. Can you see it now?
No. We have a very weird visual right now. what do you think? Does he need to sign off and sign back in or?
You, but I'm seeing it perfectly. You guys aren't seeing anything. Okay, hold on. Now it's reloading.
There you go.
Hey, Aaron,
Yes, sir.
it's Nevada.
The southern drawl sometimes doesn't quite catch it right. I apologize.
Thanks, buddy.
You're welcome. So I'll jump back in here with our project team. This is a list of our core subject matter experts that we have as part of this project team. Will each of these individuals be heavily engaged throughout this assessment and efficiency study for the city of Fernley? We have subject matter experts that are former public government officials, department directors, city administrators, etc., had to have worked in government prior to joining the Matrix Consulting Group. And this includes subject matter areas of utilities, engineering, public works, infrastructure, building planning and economic development, city manager, finance, operations, administration, process improvement, and data analysts as well. The Matrix Consulting Group, we take a three-pronged approach, a three-bucket approach to really conducting an efficiency study for our municipal clients. This includes an input phase, analysis phase, and a solutions phase. The input phase is where we really get to know the city, your operations, how you operate, your service level, the impact of the community, how you're handling growth, how you provide services to the residents. This is through a formal kickoff meeting, an initial data collection list, and then extensive interviews with city leadership and staff. And this would even include interviews with the city council as well, if that is requested, as part of this to really develop our unique understanding of the city, how you operate your service level and key drivers with this.
Aaron, you need to forward your slides. We're still on project team. There you go.
I actually did absolutely nothing there. So I guess the gremlin's in the machine right now. The second bucket is an analysis phase, where we do a best practices and benchmarking assessment. We have developed an extensive list of best management practices, prevailing practices of strong and efficient communities and municipal agencies that we have worked with. And we'll compare Fernley's operations to this best practices list to identify current strengths, but also opportunities for improvement. We'll identify where there might be some additional analysis that we need to do a deeper dive into. As part of that analysis, we'll look at your service delivery methodologies and your processes, how you're leveraging and using technology, and how's that integrated into the day-to-day operations of each of the various departments and teams as part of this. We will also look at processes where there might be duplication of services or more opportunities to streamline and efficiencies of your various work processes, your business processes, and how you provide services to both the residents, the business community, and visitors to the city. And then we'll align, evaluate that workload, service level, and to identify the staffing and operational and other resources that are needed to provide those efficient and effective services with that, to identify that true staffing need, both today and in the future. We want to make sure that you have the adequately prepare for future resources as your city continues to grow and evolve and to expand into that mid-sized city that you're going to be very quickly. And then ultimately, this analysis will lead to solutions where we make unique recommendations for each department and each team that we're evaluating. We'll look at the cost benefit analysis of these recommendations, whether it be cost savings or whether it be costs that will occur, both one-time costs, but also reoccurring expenses to really set you up from a financial standpoint to ensure that you have a true understanding of the impact of the recommendations. And then we'll develop a phase action plan that identifies a lead entity, a timeline for that, a priority level, and how to monitor the recommendations, implementation, and strategies with that to hold each and every one accountable as part of that. This slide provides a more detailed overview of our task plan, and I'm not going to go into this too deep due to time constraints. But really, we kicked the project off with initiation, working through a city project steering committee. We'll define the goals of the study, what outcomes we're looking for, and to ensure everybody is on the same page as part of this, and initiate the data collection list. Then we'll dive into those leadership and staff interviews to learn about the organization, to learn about the city, and review that data collected and document the existing current state and use this as a framework for any changes that we will recommend later on in the study. We're going to dive into the best management practices assessment, assessing your operations, your service levels, how you're using technology to those industry best practices that our team has developed over our dozens of studies and years of doing very similar studies with this. And then we'll dive into the meat and potatoes of really evaluating your service delivery models, your efficiency and your effectiveness from operations, management, technology, processes, etc. as part of that. Then we'll do a comprehensive workload and staffing analysis to align those staffing resources with that workload and desired service level that the city is looking for, and to identify any organizational needs to really supplement and support those operations and effectiveness with that. We propose a growth model as an optional task, but certainly want to take a deep dive into developing a comprehensive and holistic growth model that really projects workload and staffing needs over 15 years to really set the city up for success, to ensure that you know what resources you're going to need and can properly prepare for those moving forward over the next 5, 10, 15, even 20-year planning horizon as the city continues to grow and have the massive development that you have seen recently and going to continue to see with that project that was discussed earlier. And then finally, we'll wrap this up into a draft and final report that we'll share with the project team that has those recommendations, that implementation strategy and plan with that. I think the thing to keep in mind about this task plan, for each of these dot points that we have here, there's an interim deliverable associated with the current state profile, the best management practices assessment of service delivery efficiency model, that staffing analysis, and that growth model. There's 5 touch points before we get to a draft report that ensures that the city and the project steering committee is brought along to understand where we're at, and there's no surprises at the end. The iterative process is one of the reasons we have such a high success rate and strong recommendations that are very applicable and achievable for each of our clients. And to summarize, the matrix advantage, our analysis for city efficiency studies and staffing analysis is a fact-based approach that is built on subject matter expertise of former government officials and staff before going to the dark side and joining the consulting team here at Matrix. And each of our project team members have completed dozens, if not hundreds of studies throughout their career, many of those for small to medium and fast-growing communities throughout the United States. Our team is all in-house and full-time employees of the firm with direct working experience and local government prior to joining the Matrix Consulting Group. We have extensive engagement with the city's project steering committee throughout our study. So as I just mentioned, there's no surprises once we get to that draft report phase and those draft recommendations and action plan phase with that. And then finally, we have a clear path to an actionable solution plan. And that really results in the 85% implementation rate that our studies have at the conclusion of our projects within the first 3 years. So with that, I am going to stop sharing my screen and look forward to answering any questions that you might have about the Matrix Consulting Group, our approach and experience to support the city of Fernley in this efficiency study.
Councilman Mendoza.
Thank you for your presentation. As far as the final report and implementation, is there any service after that to help us see how the progress of the implementation is taking? We do have, with our new organization chart, we'll have 2 chief officers and our mayor who may not know how to navigate those changes. Once we're given a report, I don't want to be given a report with nobody given the opportunity to ask questions or have support in implementing the required changes to make us more efficient.
That is a great question, Councilmember Mendoza. As part of the RFP, there was not implementation assistance requested as part of that, so we did not propose on that. But that is something that we have seen a significant increase over the last 3 years, and is supporting several clients right now with implementation assistance of our study recommendations. However, as part of our approach and our action plan, we do provide measurable outcomes as part of that implementation plan so that the city can see where they need to go and how they need to go and how to get there. And so they can monitor that approach and how they do that. But we would certainly welcome the opportunity to have the opportunity to support the city in implementation assistance in these recommendations that are focusing on process improvements, integration of technology, leveraging those components to be more efficient and effective, and also how to continue to prepare and evolve as a city organization as you continue in year 26 and beyond to really provide those services that you need in a cost-effective and efficient manner, but also maintaining that level of service that the city of Fernley is known to have. And that high-level customer service I heard about the Public Works compliments earlier about some of that line striping and painting of curves. You know, it's a high level of service that is not seen in many communities across the United States.
Thank you. And my last question would be, with your guys' additional projection growth model, can you explain a little bit more in detail how valuable that would be to us to utilize that option?
We see that as a very valuable tool because we develop a very comprehensive growth model that is based on a variety of input scenarios with that. That includes looking at your comprehensive land use plan, your development patterns, what has been permitted but are subdivided and permitted but maybe hasn't been started being built yet, looking at the existing infrastructure that you have. We developed this comprehensive model that projects both the workload and the subsequent staffing needs as part of that. We find it very valuable to our clients to understand where they're going as a city and how as they continue to grow, that just because you had 5,000 population from 25 to 30 or 30 to 35 or 40,000 population, the impacts of that. You're coming from a small city where many of your staff wear multiple hats to where you really have to have some of those dedicated subject matter experts as part of those teams that are more solely focused on specific issues or specific areas of local government versus wearing many of those hats. You know, with your reorg and some chief operating officer components, you know, that's part of that. And how does that evolve in their portfolio services provide are delineated between those two positions is important as and incorporating that projection model. So you can see that, hey, in 5 years, you know, our utilities or public works infrastructure team is really going to grow based on these criteria. And we need to start developing the skill set, working with the local community colleges or working with some workforce developers to get those skilled positions that you need in there now to have that. So it really sets you up for success to provide that framework as you continue to grow and evolve as an organization to identify those technical and subject matter expertise early on. That way you can go ahead and budget 1, 2, 3, 5 years out to say, hey, we really need to look into this and get this individual on board or this skill set on board to prepare for the future so you're not reactive and you're more proactive.
Thank you.
Any further questions? Okay, good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. No further questions. We're going to go to the next one. This is Raf Tellis. And if they're set, they have a 15-minute presentation.
Oh, there's two.
We see you.
All right, good. Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Jonathan Ingram. I'm a Vice President with Raf Tellis. I lead our local government organizational assessment practice. I'm joined by my colleague on the Zoom call here as well, Ben Kittleson. You know, as the prior speaker and as you all have instructed, we have just a brief presentation to go through, just to give you a strong sense of who we are as a firm, who we are as a project team, give you a sense of our approach and timeline for what we've envisioned in terms of the execution of the project that you all have outlined. And we'll talk through some past performance. So we'll give you some project examples and some peers that you can reach out to have some conversations around what it's like to work with Raftellus and our project team. And of course, give you all the opportunity to ask any questions. Feel free to ask questions as we're moving through, but of course, we'll move through pretty quickly in the spirit of the length of the evening. So go ahead, Ben. So what I want to start with is just to make sure that you all have a really good sense and to demonstrate that we have a good sense of the context that you all are operating within, the context of this study. So obviously, as a community, you all have grown tremendously and are anticipating tremendous growth over the years. We've done a lot of work with communities in very similar circumstances. We'll highlight one project example we just completed recently in a few moments. But one of the things that inevitably happens in communities like you, as you grow from a small town to a mid-sized town, the complexity of service delivery becomes a challenge, and the systems, the structures, the processes that you all have in place, although well-formed and that have served the community really well historically, are not well suited to the current operating environment. And the task of this assessment is really to take a look at your operating environment today, but also to anticipate how that operating environment may change over the course of the next several years, and to give you a reasonable plan that is accessible, that is executable. In other words, it's not pie in the sky, and that it reflects a phased approach that takes into account your financial constraints and limitations in that concern. So that's really the process that we engage in our understanding of the work. Our fundamental focus is in giving you an actionable path forward that you all, as a governing body, can use to pay attention to which levers you need to pull, not just today, but down the road, to make sure that your community continues to receive the levels of service that they have come to expect, or to identify those areas where service level enhancements may be warranted. So I'll talk for just a moment about Raftellus. Go ahead and advance the slide, Ben. Just a little bit about us as a firm. We are one of the largest local government and utility consulting firms in the country. We have about 190 consultants with varying levels of expertise and various backgrounds, and have done a lot of work both within Washoe County and the state, as well as nationally and internationally. We've served about 2,000 plus public agencies and utilities across the United States, and over 50% of the United States population. And we are really proud of the work that we have been able to deliver, not just nationally, but also regionally and recently. In terms of our project team, both Ben and I will serve as your critical project leadership. My role is as project director. So my task at Raftellus is I lead our local government organizational assessment practice. I've been doing this work for about 23 years, both in direct service to local governments, cities and counties throughout the country, as well as internationally, but also as a management consultant. So I've done about 1,000 plus of these types of assessments over the years, have developed a number of very specific levels of expertise in terms of staffing analysis, financial modeling, both in the general fund and enterprise fund environments, and operational performance across local governments. My colleague, Ben Kittleson, who's on the line here as well. Ben will be the project manager. Ben and I work hand in glove on a lot of efforts, and recently wrapped up a project with Washoe County as well. Ben also has a background in direct local government service. Ben's job on the project is to really make sure that the trains are running on time. My task is to make sure you all as a client are happy, and that we're meeting our internal deliverable expectations. We have a couple of core subject matter folks that we've allocated to the project as well. Our colleague Jackie Gerald, she's an engineer, former water utility director, public works background, operations background. We'll focus on the capital and infrastructure development elements, which are particularly important as you all continue to grow. Our colleague Dan Marks, a planner of 30 plus years experience in community development and planning, and one of our partners on development review process improvement projects. Dan will really serve in that land use and community development role. And we also have a number of other folks that we will draw upon, including staff consultants, subject matter experts in parks and recreation, although Ben and I do a lot of work in parks and recreation, both in terms of long-term master planning, as well as staffing model development as well. So just to highlight again, our folks come from a background delivering service to local government, but that's not their only background. They have incredible backgrounds and experience in thought leadership in their industries, as well as experience providing consulting services to multiple organizations for many years. So I'll turn it over to Ben just to tee up our approach and give you a sense of what to expect as we move through the work.
Yeah, thanks, John. Yeah, I want to highlight a little bit of how we go about these projects, so you have a sense of what you could expect if we work with y'all. First, this graphic, first, any good consultant PowerPoint will of course have an infographic, and this is sort of our methodology for how we think through these sorts of assessments. And the reason I like to highlight this is it's not that there's anything groundbreaking necessarily on this infographic. It's the fact that we have a structured way to think through this. It's not just solutions off of a shelf or us giving you our opinion. It's how do we want to think through the way you guys deliver service and the way the community expects service delivery from the city in a coherent and kind of thoughtful way. And so we take a look at what are the things that the city is responsible for, what are the resources you have to provide those services, what are the requirements, the things that staff have to do, what are the outcomes, what does the data say that you guys are able to provide and staff are able to provide. And then using all of that, we can help identify opportunities for improvement. And throughout our process, and we'll of course talk about this, I'm sure more, but we think about how implementation throughout and how do you get there. And so as part of every project, we think about that roadmap of, yeah, there's opportunities for improvement, but what does that look like to actually to implement them? In addition to this 6R framework, we also really prioritize engaging with staff, making sure we really understand the perspective of folks at every level of the organization. So we have a good sense of not just sort of top down what folks at the management level or above think, but what is it like actually, doing the maintenance work in public works or understanding like what a service delivery is like right on the front lines. And then of course we bring, as John highlighted, we've got lots of folks that are with expertise in some of the industry best practices, as well as working with clients and local governments across the country. Just to give you a sense of the specific kind of elements of our proposal and project timeline, there's of course a lot more detail in the proposal, but there's 4 elements. The first is to, kick off the project, make sure we'll request a ton of data from you and your staff so we get a solid understanding of the city and how you guys operate. And then there will be a really extensive engagement with staff. We'll come on site. We want to talk to leadership. We want to talk to frontline staff. We want to be able to observe what the workspaces are like, what the facilities are like, what the infrastructure is like, and then be able to really compare that to some of the data analysis that we've done, that we'll have done to date. And then from there, we'll go to our assessment phase. This is where we really, sharpen our pencils and start doing our kind of analysis and get to really work through what are the opportunities that we can help bring to Fernley to help you guys improve your operations and help make you guys more efficient. And then after that, there will be a report and implementation planning. You'll have the opportunity to review a draft report, provide a little bit of feedback, and then before it's finalized, and then will be an implementation roadmap as part of that. And then, of course, we'll be happy to share our final recommendations to council. And then just to give you guys a sense of where we've done this type of work in the past and highlight a couple of our successes, I'm going to run through the first 2 and then turn it to John to talk about work we recently completed in a neighboring jurisdiction. So for this, the city of, we just completed this project actually pretty recently for the city of Mebane, North Carolina. Their story may resonate with y'all. They're a very fast growing community near the Raleigh-Durham metro area. Grown about over 50% population in the last 10 years, and they're really struggling to understand what are their needs. How do you kind of change the way you do business when you're growing that quickly? Not only in terms of the geographic area that you serve and the population you serve, but in the processes and the management structures that you need to manage all that work and track all that work. And so we reviewed every department in that city, delivered best practice recommendations, and really thought through what are their staffing needs, not just right now, but over the next 10 years as the city continues to experience growth. Another project I wanted to highlight is Finney County, Kansas. We did a city organization-wide review for them as well. And this was community that was really resource constrained, so really cost conscious, really wanted to be thoughtful about financial sustainability and Hey, that the best practices may be great and all, but what's actually implementable in our community given our kind of constraints and our fiscal realities. And so we really worked with them to identify not just, hey, that these are the best things or the greatest things you can do, but what are the like practical things that this organization can prioritize and implement maybe over the next 2, 3, 5 years within their local constraints. And so we're really proud of the work we were able to do with them. This is a county in kind of Midwestern Kansas that's fairly rural, and so it's really a unique kind of operating environment for them. And so really work to figure out, again, unique tailored recommendations for that organization. And then John, do you want to talk about the recent work in Washoe?
And then just recently, we wrapped up a project with Washoe County, Nevada, and I would really encourage you to reach out to both the county manager's office as well as your governing body at the county to have some conversations and get a sense for what it's like to work with us as a firm. Our task last year was to go in and look at the organizational structure, communications, the way in which the county manager's office and function interfaces with the board commission to execute the broader strategic vision. We made a number of recommendations around fundamentally restructuring the county manager's office, but also creating some fundamental improvements in governing body relationships, to which we are in the process of phase 2 in that effort, completing some governing body retreats with your board. What I want to highlight here is one that we have a sense of the dynamic within your region. This work, in addition to many other projects within the state, ranging from the southern portions of the state to both Washoe County, Reno, Sparks is a client in strategic planning, Incline Village, Henderson, Clark County, in the southern parts of the state. So again, extensive experience within the particular constraints and challenges of our environment. So those are just a few examples. I could point to 100 other examples, but we obviously only have 15 minutes, and we don't want to put you to sleep. But I want to highlight a couple things just to why we think we're well suited for this work. So we have a very specific methodology that's really designed to access and engage with staff, to access and engage with you all as a governing body, and to engage with members of the community and stakeholders to gather really critical feedback to understand what is the service level expectation that you are trying to achieve or maintain, and develop a real understanding what the challenges are to execute that service level. And we have subject matter depth in our firm that both with extensive experience delivering the services that you all are tasked with wrestling with, right? And the thing that I think is really most important is we focus very heavily on implementation, and that is that's more than just a catchphrase. It's really the underpinning element of our work. We focus on what's actionable. We identify best practices, but it's very rarely a good idea to try to implement a best practice tomorrow. What we want to do is create a constructive path to help your organization move toward best practices in a sustainable way, in a way that reflects all the other work that you all as an organization are doing, but that also puts a little pressure on the organization to change and respond to the context of the environment, right? The other piece that's really important to us is that we really think of this as a partnership. It's not a procedure. This is something we are doing with you, not to you. So that means we're going to be engaging with both you all and your staff on a consistent basis. We set a tone for early communication. We set a tone for customization. We make sure that by the time we get to the end of the process, you may not agree with everything that's in our report and our analysis, but you have a full understanding of how we got there, and we're part of the process in developing those recommendations. And then lastly, our most important deliverable is really the relationship. Lots of consulting firms are going to give you good, strong recommendations. We provide custom recommendations. We don't cut and paste. We build really strong client relationships. We really consider ourselves the premier consulting firm in the United States with respect to building a trusted advisor status. And as a result of that, in our local government OA practice, which Ben and I lead, we have a 100% reference rate. And I guarantee you, you will have a very hard time finding that with other consulting firms. Call any of our clients, call any of our references, have a conversation. With that, I'll open it up for questions.
Joe, you want to ask the same question from them?
The question was regards to something that's not in their proposal. So, with the implementation, do you guys also have an implementation program after the analysis is given to the city?
So we build our implementation plans really with a few sort of key elements. There's a best practice framework that is a little bit jargony, but it's from an organization called ProSci. It's called the ADCAR Change Management Philosophy. We use that to develop a 5-year implementation plan in consultation with your staff. That implementation plan outlines with each specific recommendation, what's the priority, what are the resources that are required to be able to execute that work, and what is the timeline that it needs to be accomplished in, what are the key implementation steps. We turn that over to you as a tool that you all can use to track progress going forward. So it's not just about giving you an implementation plan. Here's your priorities, here's your implementation steps, but it's about giving you a system of accountability where you all as an organization and as a governing body can continue to track progress and have a clear structure for how you carry forward the work. Now, so that's our final deliverable. In terms of what we've outlined in the scope, we have not offered additional implementation support. We're happy to do that. We do it in multiple organizations. We have software platforms as well as dashboards that we can connect with you all to be able to track that in a simple basis, to also be able to present that information publicly for key elements of your plan. So that's work we do routinely. It's not something we've envisioned as part of this effort, as it was not included in the RFP. That said, we don't charge for phone calls.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you for your time.
Thanks much. All right, lastly, we have Patrick Ibera from May Horondo. Thank you. I can see you.
Hey, good evening. Thanks for the opportunity to chat with you tonight. It's been fascinating to listen to your council meeting. Obviously, lots going on in Fernley, and I think it reaffirms the notion that what local government is best at is about community building. So something I'd like to introduce, two concepts before I get started my approach, is the notion that, you know, what you're experiencing as a growth community has some distinctive challenges as compared to other communities that are fairly static. You're trying to maintain the current level of service while also dealing with the future, which has some level of uncertainty to it. So you're living in two worlds, the past and the future. And as we know in local government, sometimes people live in the past and you're trying to bring them to the present so you move into the future. And so when we look at this approach of doing efficiency studies, we try to bring not only our skill sets, which consulting firms bring to the table, obviously, but also the mindset that we try to offer, kind of the philosophy as we see about local government. So when we think about local government, it's not always about the ROI. It's not always the return on investment. It's really the return on experience. We would contend that local government is an experience provider. So when we look at services that you're delivering, you're a service-centric experience provider. That's really the premise that we start with, is the portfolio of services that you're delivering. How do you sustain that, contending with the growth? It's not all just about adding staffing. So let me get into my presentation. I'm going to share that if I can. Here we go. Everybody see that? Yes, I'm assuming everybody can. Great. So we get going. At Mejorando, I'm the principal. We've been in business since 2002. Mejorando, Spanish, means getting better all the time. And that's really our mission and how we partner with local government leaders, helping them continue to focus on improving their community, improving their organization. So let me start off with just a quote here. The fundamental difference between ordinary and extraordinary organizational performance is the collective ability of your workforce. As the other two consulting firms have shared, and I think I'd be in the same camp here, I think we would all agree, part of this aspect is about change. And how do you disrupt that we've always done it that way? And that's the merit of the ideas, the merit of the recommendations is not always going to carry the day. This is about building partnerships and understanding the nuances and the texture of your organization, both operationally as well as politically. You know, as I like to say, government can do just about anything, but it can't do everything. So on what do you want your staff to spend your time? We don't think your most precious resource is money, it's time. On what are your people spending their time? Are you in the output business or are you in the outcome business? So when we look at an efficiency study, it's not just measuring outputs, it's not just staying busy. We think what you're looking for from your employees and the public, and I would contend the employees are as well, is they want to be productive, not just busy. So that's the mindset we bring to our clients, is really try to take an analytical look in a thoughtful way and a pragmatic way to say, what are people accomplishing? What are you trying to achieve? Is it just more outputs? Is it more gallons of water treated, more lane miles marked, more services delivered? Or what's the impact of those? And I think think that ties back into what you're trying to do as a community builder, which is you're trying to improve the experience, whether you're a fourth generation resident or you're brand new to the community. What's that experience like? And I would also put on the table that what we try to bring to our clients is you're not just in the cost business, you're in the value business. You're trying to bring more value to people's lives. And in some respects, you're a lifestyle provider. So I just wanted to share that as we get started with the efficiency study. We try to take a holistic look at services, not just trying to do more of what you're doing, but really challenge some assumptions, which sometimes, especially in growth communities, can be difficult because you're so busy working at things. This really provides you the opportunity to work on things. So the four dimensions that we try to offer, we would offer to you all in this pursuit is really about efficiency and resource allocation. How are you allocating those resources? People, money, time, technology, as we know, the explosion of AI and the impact. I would also put on the table that local government primarily is a manual labor business model. So AI may not be a substitute for how you deliver services. It's maybe a supplement. Last time I checked, AI is not going to get called at 2 in the morning to go out and fix a water main break. You're going to send a crew out there to deal with field issues. However, at the same time, technology obviously is a tool in that pursuit. Going clockwise, it's performance expectations. What are the departments trying to accomplish? What are the expectations collectively as an organization? What are they as a department? Well, in some respects, what are they as an individual? I think that's where the point of view of you as elected officials is going to be really critical in canvassing, understanding your point of view, both individually and collectively. What are your expectations about what this organization should be accomplishing? Sometimes that's not always top of mind, as evidenced by the council meeting tonight. You're moved in so many different directions. You really have to be incredibly flexible, kind of that dexterity that you're dealing with a policy issue, you're dealing with a development issue, you're dealing with a parks issue. At the same time, this efficiency study is trying to pause in a thoughtful way and take a step back and say, what are you trying to accomplish? Going clockwise is the budget justification. While your revenue may be increasing, we believe that improving organizational performance, it's not simply done by arithmetic. What I mean by that is not just about adding more employees. It's really about how you allocate them and the time. We would also put on the table that it's not just about more employees. It's also, do you have interlocal government agreements with other jurisdictions to deliver services? Are there the role of nonprofits to deliver services? And then the other dimension to that is you have to be careful about what you decide to start doing, because once you're in it, you're never out. So with growth communities, that's a particular challenge as the demand from the public is let's do more of this, let's do more of that. Why aren't you doing this? Why aren't you doing that? So we want to be careful not to, as we look to the future, to if you're going to get into that beyond the financial sustainability, is that really a core service? Sometimes what happens is a little bit of scope creep where all of a sudden you get pulled into it, people become dependent upon it. Is that financial service is really sustainable in the light of the volatility of budget? So we know that's a dimension here. We're not trying to read into the crystal ball, but we try to factor that into our study. And then future planning. Obviously, Fernley's a lot of things static. It's not. So in some respects, what got you here won't get you there. We obviously incorporate that. We believe innovation is not just about doing new things. It's about adding new value. So let's get into the flow of the project. It's very, in some respects, similar to the other firms. There's always a little particular different dimensions that we all bring to the table, but it's fairly similar in the methodology, if you will. But we start off with your vision, mission, and I added your values. I sent Lydia the PowerPoint yesterday, then I added the values today, so pardon me for that. But obviously, this is the backdrop, the foundation of what you're trying to accomplish. A vision is a destination you never achieve. A mission is how you get there, and the values are what bind the community and the workforce and you as elected officials together. We think this is an important starting point, not to make assumptions that these are always top of mind for people, but we would want to understand from your vantage points, how strong are these? How influential are these? How do you match up? Because if I'm an employee in the organization, I'm going to look at the mission statement and say, what am I doing to achieve that? If I'm a member of the public, I'm looking at the vision statement and asking you and asking myself, is this really what this community is all about? So we see these as dimensions. They're not the answer. They're sort of guideposts as we start on this efficiency study. And then a little bit about our approach. We look at these, we look trying to help you achieve optimal performance, capitalize on your strengths, of which you have many. So we look at the credibility of leadership, both politically and organizationally. Obviously, the culture can be either a helper or a hindrance, and you have lots of cultures by department, by floor, by shift, but we try to take a little bit of look at that culture, not intentionally, but it's always a byproduct. And then starting at strategy, what are you trying to accomplish? We look at the structure, and that would seem to be a major focus of this, as well as the service delivery. How modern are your services? How modern are your services in the delivery of them? Obviously, we're seeing an increased focus on online delivery of services. especially about routine transactions. So we want to take a hard look at your e-commerce strategy, but what are you transacting online that staff should not be spending time on? They could be spending time on being more consultative instead of more of a cashier. And then your HR systems. How are you attracting, retaining, and developing talent? That's obviously an aspect about how you're delivering services. You're competing for talent. You can't always compete on money. Are you competing on opportunity? How are you retaining? What are you promoting? A little bit of succession planning sprinkled into that. But we see these are the different dimensions that really the outcome of all this is trying to achieve optimal performance. And it's our belief that's what you're trying to achieve through this efficiency study. And then in particular, the areas to examine, this is in the proposal, this was also in the RFP, the structure, the staffing levels, you have a strategic plan we'd want to take a look at, an examination of relevant policies, current performance measures, and how you're delivering services. Try to compare your service delivery models to comparable cities, both within the region as well as comparable cities across the country. Analysis of those services. Try to take a look at your current talent management, succession planning. You might think, why are we doing succession planning? You have only 92 full-time employees. Well, we look at talent management, succession planning, how they intersect. It goes back to how you're attracting, retaining, developing talent to deliver those services. And then obviously we put together those current practices and align with recommendations and the benefits and disadvantages associated with those recommendations, and a plan and schedule. We look at recommendations to be implemented both near term right now, short term in the next 6 months, and long term over the next year. So there has to be some sort of sequence of those recommendations. We don't want to just give you, here's 40 recommendations. Good luck with the implementation, as was mentioned earlier. We sequence those based on what we believe are a proven change management implementation plan. And by the way, in addition to best practices, we're not just about best practices, we're about next practices. We're trying to help you go where you want to go, not just where you are. And then the 4 phases, the 4 E's as we call it, enlist. I'll go through these here quickly. I know I don't have a lot of time. It's getting pretty late there. I know you've had a pretty long meeting. To enlist, to examine, to explore, and execute. Obviously, execution is the whole purpose of this efficiency study, but let me start off with enlist, meet with all of you, the executive team members, city manager, department directors, review a lot of materials, your capital improvement plan, your budget, other planning devices, performance measures, all those different devices, take tours of city facilities, kind of soak up the flavor and the texture of the city and the community itself. Pardon me, facilitate employee focus groups. Oftentimes those frontline employees who are nearest to the issues delivered out in the field can provide really solid input. And it also validates, they're often going to be on the front lines of delivering recommendations. And that's where we get back into the change management. We understand that the merit of this can't just look like a management directive. I'm from management, I'm here to help you, and may be viewed with a little bit of skepticism by frontline employees, understandably so. We don't want this to turn into a flavor of the month. So we want to build relationships with employees and enlisting them and engaging their involvement up front about their ideas and potential solutions, as well as challenges facing their department, especially with all the growth. We think that's really important as part of our partnership building because they're often going to be on the front lines of delivering those recommendations. So we want them to feel as though they have skin in the game, kind of the old notion, participation breeds commitment. And then benchmarking yourself to comparable size cities. At the same time, not just because they're doing it in another city, you should do it there. We try to be very contextual and customize the recommendations. It's a framework, those benchmark cities. And the question there is not just because the way they're doing it doesn't mean they're doing it well. So we'd want to put that on the table to make sure we're looking at that. And then I included just some samples from other client reports that we've done at service efficiency studies, just some data tables here, just to give you a little bit of flavor of what we're capturing. Data, this is just sort of hasn't been extrapolated yet, but we're starting to use this as benchmarking for a client. Just a little bit of flavor about center lane miles, public works maintenance workers compared to other cities, number of lane miles. This is all data. Then we have to, it's based on our capabilities, how we interpret this data and look at your organization to use as a reference point. And then our recommendations, which are included in this project, obviously. I'm sorry, a little bit more there. Our potential recommendations, it's all about improved performance. Obviously, we look at staffing levels, and the challenge with local government is, there's not really hard data in any profession within, whether it's police or fire or public works or utilities. There's agreed upon staffing level standards. At the same time, with growth communities, it's hard to know, when do you add people? And again, we're looking at this more holistically, that it's not simply about adding people, it's also about improving services. So it's not just when do you need to add another person in the finance department or community development. We're trying to be very cautious that it's not just tracking that, At the same time, we want to be conscious that as you're trying to maintain the current level of services with the growth, that's obviously part of this equation. Going clockwise, service delivery, how are you delivering those services? Who else might be a partner, whether it's an interlocal government agreement, a nonprofit, a service that maybe you can share with another agency. Performance measures, what are you doing? How are you accomplishing those? Provide those. What we often find in local governments is they tend to capture outputs, which is not the same thing as a performance measure. So helping the organization adopt and implement meaningful performance measures so you know not only what you're doing, but how well you're doing those services. Pardon me, modernize your talent management practices. Again, as an employer, there might be some opportunities for training and development of how you're equipping your workforce with the capabilities they need to deliver services today with the capabilities they need to deliver them tomorrow. Technology and process improvements, obviously, that's a big piece of this, how you're optimizing technology and how you're improving processes. Sometime, and we always put on the table that before you improve a process, the first question you should ask is, should you even be doing it? And then outsourcing, as I mentioned earlier, if there are opportunities, not that outsourcing or contracting is the silver bullet, there are none. However, that is part of the opportunity to explore as a potential recommendation. All of these are very practical and pragmatic, and what we believe are proven from our own library and history of partnering with local governments all around the country. Our experience in Nevada is limited. We have provided services for Reno, and we have a lot of clients in California, Washington, Oregon, Arizona, Colorado. So we're in that region. We understand sort of the political terrain and the organizational expectations. And then the schedule, which was included in the proposal, May, June, July, August. We think once we start, it's about maintaining momentum. Should not be a long-winded project where there's a lot of time spent just examining. You really want to get to the recommendation so you can move forward with the implementation. Then just a little bit about other clients, other success stories. We've done staffing studies either for the entire organization or particular departments. Some of these cities around the country, extremely high growth. So that, again, as I mentioned in my opening remarks, they present unique challenges when you're dealing not only with the maintaining current level, but you're also looking to the future to help them how to prepare and be proactive to maintain that service level when demands are increasing. So just a little bit about our firm. And that's me. I've had the good fortune of writing a number of articles for ICMA's flagship magazine, Public Management. That was me on the cover. As I remind my wife occasionally, I'm a cover model, a little tongue in cheek there. I'm small but mighty. I'm a sole proprietor. Former city manager, spent 15 years in it before I started Mejorando in 2002. We have clients across the country, been in business for 24 years last month. And we're a virtual consulting firm, so we bring talent around projects, and that's what we position in our proposal for all of you. And then our portfolio of services, what we see is we're a boutique firm. We don't try not to be all things to all people. We go deep, very deep in a few particular areas. And obviously this organizational analysis and process improvement is one of our core services as a consulting firm. I know I moved pretty fast through there, so I want to stop sharing and answer any questions. Thank you for the opportunity to share that with you tonight.
Thank you, Councilman Mendoza.
You went so fast, I missed the implementation part. No, it's just the same question that I've asked the other two presenters. What does it look like for after the analysis is given to the city? What type of support is offered?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, we include very practical recommendations with not only the what, at the same time, we provide the how in our report. So we try to equip staff with those capabilities so they don't need to rely on us to implement them. At the same time, we have been retained by several clients to be brought in to provide advisory services to help them implement and sustain the progress they're trying to make.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions from council? All right, seeing none, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, at this point, we can move on to the next item, which would allow you to make your decision. Do you have any questions?
Yeah, I'm ready to make a motion if unless council has any other discussion or concerns.
Go ahead, Councilman Mendoza.
Let's make this motion correctly since it's late. So we're making a motion off of 6.3, correct?
That's correct.
So let me open that up. I'd like to make the motion to accept Matrix Consulting Group as the award winner for the RFP and to direct staff to start discussions of the contract.
Looking for a second.
I'll second.
We have a motion by Councilman Mendoza, seconded by Councilman Torres. Please vote.
Hold on.
Oh.
I have a question.
Okay,
Thank
go
you.
ahead.
Do we have dollar amounts on these? I didn't look through.
They're all in
I
your
haven't read the whole
packet.
thing because it's.
And Aaron Morrison, City Attorney, I just want to make sure that is clear. This is a professional contract as well. You can look at the prices, but the prices should not be a consideration as long as they met the RFP in determining which company to hire.
We got a lot of stuff here at the very last moment, so I haven't had a chance to read through all like 90 pages of this, but what is the amount? What page is it on?
Most of them are toward the back.
Okay, thank you.
If there's no further questions, please vote.
Can I ask a question while we're waiting?
Go ahead, ask a question.
Thank you, Mr. Mortensen. Why can't we discuss the price? I don't understand.
In terms of professional services contracts, you send out an RFP. You can certainly discuss price, but that cannot be a factor in your final decision. As long as they fall within what the RFP included, you should be selecting based upon their professional skill and talent, not upon the price, as long as that's within the range that the RFP laid out.
So we can't use that as a chip in the determining
That is
process
an NRS statute.
That's correct.
at all.
At all.
Okay, thank you.
Comparable.
Do we need to do a manual vote? It passed 3-1. Okay, motion carries 3-1.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Aaron Mortson, City Attorney, just we're close enough to the time that under our code, there's a rule that at 9 o'clock, I need a motion from council that indicates what items you wish to proceed with at that point in time. So select the items in the order that you have. There's 3 items left that you want to go through. Any items that are not selected as part of that will be continued to the next meeting. Additionally, at 10 o'clock, I will need a motion to determine whether or not you want to adjourn and continue all remaining items, or whether or not you want to continue, and that will require a majority vote.
Councilman Torres?
I'd like to make a motion to continue and allow 6.4 to be heard, and after 6.4, we're done.
Oh, I'll second.
We have a motion by Councilman Torres to continue with 6.4, and then after that, this meeting will adjourn, and then 7.1 will be continued for the next meeting.
And Aaron Morrison, City
yes.
Attorney, was 6.2 heard as well, or is that continued as well? Did I miss 6.2?
That's continued as well. 6.2 and 7.1 will be continued. We'll hear 6.4 and then be done for the night.
Okay, so we're continuing 6.2 and then 6.1 for the next meeting. We will continue with line item 6.4, which is possible action for approval of the submittal for a grant application to the Nevada Off-Highway Vehicle Grant Program for $86,250 to assist in the funding of the development of the Fernley Off-Highway Vehicle Plan. Ms. Livingston.
So can you hear me? Okay. Tricia Livingston, Grants Administrator for the record, so I'll keep this short and sweet. The state of Nevada has a Nevada Off-Highway Vehicle Grant Program. The city would like to apply for it to develop a Fernley OHV plan. The cost estimate of the grant that we'd like to submit for the consultant to develop this plan would be $86,250. The deadline of the grant is May 17th. There is no match required. It's not in the budget, so we do not have a match. At this time, there is no financial implications other than staff time. If we do get the grant, it would be start implementing later on this year, and then we would have more staff time with like community meetings and assisting selecting consultants and working with the consultant in developing this plan. The reason why we brought this to council is because it hits the Fernley's strategic plans in economic development. It'll develop outdoor recreation, improve quality of life. It'll develop trail connectivity, and it's also part of our grant pursuit strategy. And with that, I'm open to any questions you may have.
Councilman Torres.
First, I just have a statement, really quick. I know that this program has been used extensively in Ely and in Eureka, and it is very, very successful. Sorry, it's getting late. If there's no other questions, I'll make a motion.
Councilwoman Zaborski, go ahead.
I'm so happy to see your face. I'm so happy you're here, and great job bringing a grant to council like already. You haven't. Well, I mean, technically you've been here a long time if we don't count, but I just wanted to say thank you. I'm super excited, and hopefully we'll see these kind of agenda items all the time because it's just great. Just want to say great job.
Councilman Mendoza.
Oh, I was just getting ready to second Torres's motion.
Okay, if there's no other comments, we have a motion by Councilman Torres. Right?
Not yet. I move to approve the submittal of a grant application to the Nevada Off-Highway Vehicle Grant Program in the amount of $86,250.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilman Torres, seconded by Councilman Mendoza. Please vote. Motion carries 4-0. Thank you. Now we'll move on to line item 8, public forum. This portion of the meeting will be public. If you wish to comment, you can do so in person at the meeting or raise your hand feature in Zoom. *9 if you're participating via phone. Public comments are limited to 3 minutes. Please avoid repetition. Is there any public input at this time?
Apologies again. Tammy Dittman, Fernley resident. I can't speak as fast as the last guy. I just would like some answers to a rumor I've heard that the city of Fernley has taken on Farm District in lieu of the Nevada Pacific Highway extension. If so, has it already happened? Why, if it has happened, why didn't we wait until the extension happened? How will the city pay for updating Farm District if it is found that it is needed widening or snowplow? And then a point of correction that has upset me every single time, and I know other people too. Every year, a balanced budget needs to be presented to the state of Nevada. So when the comment is made in that this is the 3rd year that we've had a balanced budget, we've never had one before, that is totally incorrect from what I understand that needs to be submitted to the state of Nevada. Thank you.
There we go. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, City Council. Appreciate the time. I know time is valuable. My name is Bob Lucy. I'm here as a resident of the state of Nevada, but also as your representative for the Porter Group with the federal government. I did want to, unfortunately did not have a chance to work with Lydia to agendize, but I hopefully we can get on the agenda for a future meeting, come back and give you a full federal report, and work with you about some things. But I did want to give you a quick update. We did have the opportunity to have Councilman Torres and Mayor McIntyre join us back in DC this year. We have been working with the city of Fernley now since January of this year. And we're very honored to represent the city of Fernley. We did take 3 congressional district spending requests back on behalf of the city of Fernley to the federal government. I want to report to you today. We did find out earlier last month that 2 out of our 3 projects that we had requested were funded through Congressman Amadei's CDS requests. That was for the 50 looping main and also the Gustafson Bridge. Now, those 2 projects have been selected by Congressman Amade. This will be moving forward in the FY27 fiscal budget. But we did receive word from the state senators' offices, both Senator Rosen and Senator Cortez Masto, that the Ritchie Tank project was also approved today. So all 3 projects, big round of applause for the city of Fernley. You did get all 3 of your projects. It's a significant amount of money that will be coming back to the Fernley for capital improvements to the city for water infrastructure, road and transportation infrastructure, and a number of things. So congratulations, good work to staff and all the time that they have put into that, and to you guys for supporting them. And like I said, for future meetings, I'd love to come back and bring you a more robust federal update and some other discussions down the road. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you very much for the news. That's great news. Any other public input? Anybody on? Okay.
I just want to say thank you to the staff and the public that stayed here since 2 with us. I appreciate it. Bye. Good night.
All right. This meeting is adjourned.